This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. The Premier has been forced to announce an unplanned cabinet reshuffle following the scandal created by Sarah Courtney. Today he released the results of an investigation into her behaviour, finding she did breach the ministerial code of conduct. Our political reporter Michelle Wisby joins us now. Good evening Michelle. What have we discovered today?
Joe, we've learned the former Primary Industries Minister did in fact breach the Code of Conduct relating to her forming a personal relationship with the head of her department. She's facing relatively minor consequences, moving sideways to another portfolio. But Joe, we still don't know exactly when the relationship started and just who was questioned as part of the investigation. Let's take a closer look now.
The Premier forced to make an unplanned cabinet reshuffle, left with no choice after Minister Sarah Courtney was today found to have breached the ministerial code of conduct.
I'm announcing changes to ministerial responsibilities which follow on from Ms Courtney's disclosure of a personal relationship with Dr John Whittington.
Earlier this month, the then Primary Industries Minister admitted to forming a relationship with the head of her department. Independent investigations confirming the breach, but saying she made no inappropriate decisions professionally.
There has been no error in any decision making, no breach of proper process or protocol by Minister Courtney and indeed nor by Mr Whittington.
The review said she should have revealed the relationship to the Premier on September 13, the day she returned from a China trade mission with Dr Whittington. Instead, she waited a month. In a statement, she said she should have recognised a potential perceived conflict of interest earlier. Dr Whittington will remain as the Dipipwe Secretary, but Sarah Courtney will be removed as the department's minister. Now she's taking on construction.
It's a slap on the wrist in the sense of that's all it warranted, but it is a warning to other people that these are the rules and they will be enforced and you have to be mindful of them.
Questions raised over why Ms Courtney was not punished and sent to the backbench following the scandal.
Most people would expect that means something, that there is some consequence for that, not just that she's shuffled sideways into another portfolio.
The Premier has so few choices. He's putting a minister into a significant portfolio despite the fact that her judgment is in question.
The CPSU says there are questions over the investigation.
To the best of my knowledge, none of those people have been spoken to, and nobody in Dipipwe was told that they wouldn't be prosecuted under Code of Conduct if they gave evidence in regard to the investigation.
Guy Barnett will now take on the Primary Industries portfolio and Elise Archer will take racing.
Michelle, this cabinet reshuffle isn't the only headache for the government today.
That's right, Joe. The government has more to worry about with public sector industrial action. After striking last week, teachers are taking another step forward that will cause concern for parents. Union members will refuse to write comments in students' end-of-year Term 4 reports. This means there will be no advice for parents in those reports on specifically how their children are progressing at school. Joe, the AEU says the actions are directed at the government as they fight against the 2% wages cap.
Michelle Wisby joining us there. Now we move on to council elections, and results have been sifting in today from Tasmania's mass round of polling. Several high-profile mayors have been ousted by voters, and there's set to be a new direction for some local government areas. Our team of reporters have been going through the statewide results, and we're joined by Louise Hedger and Sean McComish. First to you, Louise, what have been some of the big results in the Hobart region?
Joe, it's been an interesting election campaign here in Hobart with some quite big issues. Hobart's Lord Mayor has lost his spot today in the top job. Clarence's Mayor will stay on, whereas Kingborough is set for a shake-up. The Huonville ratepayers will now breathe a sigh of relief. They've finally got a new council 2 years after theirs was dismissed.
After years of local government instability in the Huon Valley, a new council has been elected. New Mayor Beck Enders rearing to provide a clean slate.
Governance is one thing, so a lot of transparency, honesty, bringing people back in to actually be able to watch meetings, like portfolio meetings, so it's better participation.
While Hobart's former stand-in and controversial Lord Mayor Ron Christie has been booted, with a slim chance he'll retain a councillor position. Now into the hot seat is said to be former Greens alderman, but now independent, Anna Reynolds.
In an election where one issue, the cable car, has brought a lot of voters out to vote against the cable car, and also a lot of splintering between the more business-oriented candidates.
36 candidates put their hand up for alderman positions in Hobart. Kevin Bonham says that's too many.
Voters have experienced a great amount of confusion in completing the ballot paper. This has led to a record level of informal voting.
In Kingborough, former Mayor Steve Wass hasn't regained his spot, with Dean Winter to take over the reins.
Roads rates rubbish in our public places, and that's what I'm passionate about, and hopefully I can improve council's performance in those areas in the next 4 years.
While in Glamorgan Spring Bay, incumbent Michael Kent has been booted, receiving the lowest number of first preference votes. Debbie Wisby stepping up, while in the Derwent Valley it's set to be Ben Shaw. Unopposed candidates include Sorrel incumbent Mayor Kerry Vincent, Tasman's Kelly Spalding and Lou Triffett for the Central Highlands. In the Southern Midlands, current Mayor Tony Bisdee was re-elected, and returning for Clarence is Doug Chipman. Brighton's Tony Foster a shoo-in to regain his position. With 58% of the votes, he's made history as the state's longest current serving mayor. More than 58% of us turned out to vote in these local council elections, with electoral staff opening a whopping 209,000 envelopes.
But I think the candidates have probably got out there and made sure people are interested and have a reason to vote.
So, Joe, no doubt an anxious wait for some people in the next few days. It's still a few days till we hear the full makeup of the councils and who's got those alderman positions.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much for that, Louise. We're going to cross now to Sean McComish. Sean, what are the results looking like in other parts of the state?
Joe, it looks like we'll see 6 new faces at councils across the north and the northwest. Kentish, Flinders Island and the Northern Midlands are all set to get new mayors. Now, I spoke to the new King Island mayor earlier today, and he believes that the ongoing dispute with Rex Airlines played a major factor in elections there. Meanwhile, former Deputy Premier Steve Cons looks set to take the top spot in Burnie. On a sunny day in Burnie, a former Deputy Premier was happy to step back into the spotlight. Steve Cons says the city by the sea is lagging behind the rest of the state, and he's ready to take up the fight.
I think it needs a strong advocate, and I believe I'm that advocate. I've been in Parliament before, so I know the political processes, but it means getting into a room one-on-one with people who you consider your equals, rather than feeling inferior about the relationship and just putting your case forward.
Through the day, Launceston was still undecided, with incumbent Mayor Albert Van Zetten nervously watching preference flows to rival Janie Finlay.
It's always, when you go for a long time, there's people who want change, so you've got to live with that and to see how it's going to come down in the final count.
TFGA boss Wayne Johnston will take the mayor's robes in Meander Valley from Craig Perkins, who didn't recontest. 5 mayors were returned across the east coast and the north, as were 5 others on the northwest and west coast. Devonport Mayor Annette Rockcliffe, who took on the job after Steve Martin vacated for the Senate, says she's delighted with her victory.
Yeah, I am. I've been working hard for particularly the last few months, but for quite a few months before that. So I really appreciate the confidence that the city's shown me to do it for the next 4 years for real.
Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
To other news now, and a man accused of shooting an 11-year-old girl causing grievous bodily harm has given evidence at his own trial today. Nathan Richard Campbell took the stand, breaking down when cross-examined by the prosecution.
The 26-year-old was the final witness to give evidence at his trial this afternoon, recounting the events leading up to the moment 11-year-old Phoenix Newitt was shot. Prosecutor John Ransom told the accused he'd made a considered decision to fire his gun at a car he knew there were people in, a move likely to result in injury. Nathan Campbell told the jury in the heat of the moment he was angry, fuming and frightened for his family and his daughter's life. He said those in the car at the bottom of Stag Court had shouted they'd rape and kill his daughter, and that made him fire a warning shot. Prosecution told the court a warning shot could have been into the air rather than at the car. The 26-year-old broke down saying, "I didn't want to shoot anyone," and that he never would have grabbed a gun if he knew what the outcome would be. He's pleaded not guilty to inflicting grievous bodily harm to the then 11-year-old in August last year, with the key question his intent. The court also heard from the head of neurosurgery at Melbourne's Royal Children's Hospital, who told the jury without 2 emergency surgery procedures, one of which removed bone from the back of the skull to reduce the swelling, Phoenix Newitt would have died as a result of the injuries she sustained. The jury will hear the closing addresses of defence and prosecution tomorrow morning before it retires to deliberate its verdict. Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
A 27-year-old man has suffered serious injuries after a 2-car collision in Acacia Hills overnight. Emergency services were called to the crash at Cornwall and Sheffield Roads around 5:20 p.m. A Port Surrell man was trapped inside his utility before he was flown to the Royal Hobart Hospital in a serious condition. Police are still investigating the cause of the incident. Following significant community backlash on flight paths to and from Hobart Airport, Air Services Australia has today released new proposed flight paths. The company says the safety of travellers is its priority, and these reviewed paths should balance community concerns with airline efficiency and safety. Some residents are already raising issue with the amendments, claiming these proposed paths will still create noise pollution. In the lead-up to the centenary of Armistice, SES volunteers and RSL members have spent several hours today placing 3,000 poppies out the front of Launceston's Albert Hall. Knitted by the Country Women's Association of Tasmania, each one represents a soldier who lost their life in World War I.
We wouldn't have our freedoms today if it wasn't for the Anzacs and others who have fought for those freedoms. So we're extremely proud. We have a strong service history. Our history, of course, came from the civil development days, and you know, we're really proud to be doing our bit. And the RSL here, they do a wonderful job.
The poppies will be on display until Remembrance Day. A new Antarctic-themed mural has been unveiled by a local Tasmanian artist today, celebrating the importance of our marine animals. Sitting in the centre of Hobart, the mural features striking images of penguins, seals, squids and krill. The piece was commissioned to mark the 37th meeting of the Commission for the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources, a major international body which meets annually in Hobart. It took the artist 8 days to complete the work, which is 7 metres long and 4 metres high. And the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery has unveiled its latest acquisition, painted by one of Australia's most notorious colonial artists. The Portrait of Henry Floss by Thomas Griffiths Wainwright was purchased from a private collection in the UK and is one of just 3 known oil paintings by the former convict.
It was rumoured that he had poisoned 3 members of his family to access their inheritances. He was also regarded as one of the finest portrait painters in the colony.
Wainwright was sent to Van Diemen's Land in 1837 after he was convicted of forgery and died 10 years later. And now a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. A late surge from heavyweight banking, mining and energy stocks has pulled the Australian share market higher on a choppy trading day. The ASX 200 index has risen by 25.2 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 71 US cents and 80.34 Japanese yen. 2 players could be dropped from the starting 11 for the Tasmanian Tigers' next Sheffield Shield clash, with returning Australian squad members Ben McDermott and Tim Payne available to play for their home state. With Payne copping criticism from a number of commentators in recent weeks, teammate Matthew Wade says it's unfair to target the national captain.
No, I don't think it's fair that one person wears any of it. It's obviously collective. Everyone that plays under the Cricket Australia banner has got a job to do, and it's not just one man's job.
The game against New South Wales gets underway at the SCG on November 5. The North Hobart Football Club is wasting no time assembling its 2019 squad as it attempts to climb from the bottom of the TSL ladder. Former AFL player Sam Darley is the latest in a growing list of big-name recruits that includes former Melbourne defender Colin Garland.
Darley was drafted as an underage recruit to GWS before making his AFL debut in 2012. He played 13 games for the Giants before a move to the Western Bulldogs yielded 7 more. Now the lure of home has proved too tempting for the 25-year-old.
The energy and the morale with these young guys, it makes me feel young again, so it makes me excited, but also I just want to help and teach these guys and take this club back to where it should be.
And Darley insists he's in it for the long haul after spending 3 years trying to re-tempt AFL recruiters.
Probably some family issues, I guess, forced the issue to come home a little bit sooner than I thought, but I couldn't be happier wearing this jumper, mate. As I said, jumping out here on this ground, having a kick, feels like I'm home again, so it's nice.
Lining up alongside Darley next year will be goal sneak Martin Allison, also 25 and also an ex-Demon. In recent years, Allison has been plying his trade in the SFL.
It was a hard decision, but I'm ready to make that step forward and get back and fit as I can as what I've been in previous years. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Coach Richard Robinson says it's a huge coup for a club that struggled on field in 2018, but he's keeping a lid on expectations.
I've just got to keep making sure the group works hard. I mean, just because you've got name players into the side doesn't mean that it's automatically going to translate to more wins.
Andrew McCarthy, Southern Cross News.
Good evening. Temperatures range today from -3 at Lyowini to our high of 21 in Launceston. Hobart and Devonport recorded 17 and Burnie 19 degrees. Partly cloudy for the southwest and south, but sunny over the central north. Campania 20 degrees, Smithton, Friendly Beaches and Ooze 19. Low Head and Scottsdale 18 today, 14 at Lyowini and lots of 16s around the map. Low cloud today over the south and northeast, but mostly clear skies for the rest of Tasmania. Cloud is streaming over the Bight though, ahead of a cold front heading our way. That's to the south of Western Australia. A low pressure trough produced thunderstorms over central Australia with convective cloud visible over many other parts of the mainland. Tomorrow a pair of highs amalgamate to the east of the continent as cold fronts track towards the state. Low pressure troughs again over the mainland. Northwest and northeast winds at 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 15 to 25 knots around midday, swells to 3 metres. Hobart can expect a showery day, increasing later, 21 the top, 21 for Cygnet and 21 the high for New Norfolk, with showers developing and increasing. Launceston, showers and a possible storm, 21 the maximum, 18 the top for Devonport, showers also for Campbelltown at 19 degrees. Burnie, showers and a possible storm, 17 the top, 21 the high for Storm with that same forecast and 18 for Smithton. And for the east of the state, showers and a possible late storm for St Helens, 21 the top, 21 for Swansea and also 21 degrees at Fingal. UV a very high 8 for most centres. On Friday, rain with possible gusty thunderstorms, snow to 800 metres in the evening. Showers on Saturday easing during the afternoon, early snow to 600 metres, and on Sunday fine and partly cloudy over the south and east, but a shower or two elsewhere. 22 in Perth tomorrow, warming up to 36 in Adelaide, a possible shower in Melbourne, partly cloudy conditions for Canberra and Sydney, but sunny in Brisbane. And it's still sunny here, 14 degrees in Hobart, Launceston 17, Devonport 14. Joe, not that I'm interested, but I don't know if it was last night or tonight, Halloween, but judging by your jacket, the funny looking hat over there and your broomstick, it must be tonight.
Oh, you're very funny. I'll trick or treat you. Thank you, Merv. That's all from the team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a little bit later. Bye-bye.